Hello, welcome to another episode of the Benchwarmers. I'm Matt, here with my co-host Ryan.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 35th episode. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Benchwarmers06. Subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube.
On today's episode, Ryan and I will be making our predictions for the Champions League group stages, and then we'll be getting into the NFL Week 3 recap and games to watch in Week 4, and then finishing off with the Degen Corner.
The Benchwarmers.
All right, so let's get into the Champions League, Ryan. It's one of my favorite soccer leagues because it's the best of each of the best European teams, because it's only the top four of the majority of the big leagues, and then you get a couple wild cards, but for the most part they're the most talented teams in Europe. So let's jump into it with Group A. From this group, I have Atletico Madrid and Dortmund advancing as the 1 and 2. Who do you have in this one?
So, I have the same as you, but I have Dortmund and Atletico Madrid. I think that Dortmund is a better team. They have a better competition they go up against. And I think that they're actually the better team out of this division, out of this group.
I think both of us clearly agree that these are the two best teams in the group. The other two teams, I don't think.
The rest teams are, they're not even existent. So I agree with that. I think Dortmund is the better team. The better number one team is.
Yeah, I think
so that's the difference.
Yeah, clearly it's going to come down to these two teams at the end of the day, because as we know, both teams are. Most people agree that these teams are, top caliber teams, and both of these teams have reached the Champions League final in the last few years. So I don't really expect anything different. I expect these teams to advance pretty easily. Moving to Group B, I have the powerhouse Barcelona advancing, and of course I have to pick the team that I picked to win the Premier League, Tottenham, also advancing.
So I can't disagree. Barcelona, I think, will be the number one team in this group, but I think Tottenham's looking pretty bad recently. Just in the last couple of games they've been playing, they haven't been looking as solid as they did when they first came out the gate. So for my other team out of this group, I'm saying Inter Milan is the other team that's going to make it out of this group.
I can't.
They're looking a lot better. They're looking a lot better than I think than Tottenham has looked, and I think that's why. That's the only reason I'm saying. Otherwise, if this was the beginning of the season, all that, Tottenham was looking really good, but I just think they've fallen off. Is how I've seen them play of late.
Well, my only issue with Tottenham is Harry Kane, the best player. He's basically not playing up to what you expect him to do. I think he got hurt the end of last Premier League season, and the World Cup. He was the leading scorer of the World Cup, but most of his goals, as we spoke during that time, were off of penalty kicks or free kicks. It wasn't really off of the open play, and I think because of his injury, and I think he's still somewhat injured, and he's not able to score as easily as he was able to last year. So I could see why you would want to pick against him. Of course, I have already picked him to go far, so I'm not going to go against him now, but I'm hoping Harry Kane comes back to life, because that's going to be the key factor here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Group C. Here I think these are the two obvious teams. PSG, a clear powerhouse led by Neymar and crew, and let's not forget the World Cup champion Mbappe. The two forwards are, one of the best cores you're going to get. And then Liverpool, who went to the Champions League final last year. So those are my two teams here. Ryan, who you have?
So I don't disagree with Liverpool. I think they're playing phenomenal in the Premier League. They have a bunch of competition to go up against, and have looked really, really good this season. And like I said, they were in the Champions League last year final, and I think they're going to be there again. They're looking really good, so that's my number one pick. But I don't agree with PSG. I think Napoli looks a little bit better. You know, they're doing pretty solid in the Italian league right now, and I think that I see they'll end up nudging off PSG on this one.
I think that's craziness, Ryan. I think you both. I think you know that PSG is loaded with talent. I'm not saying Napoli's not good, but I just can't see PSG not advancing to the group stage. I think they're too big to fail.
Well, I've made crazier picks before, so I'm sticking with Napoli. I think PSG's gonna fall. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's true. You've made crazier picks.
Thank you for reminding me.
Group D. I got FC Porto and Galatasaray advancing from this. This is one of the weaker groups that we have in the Champions League. I think both of these teams, when they do advance, depending on the matchup that they get, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get knocked out early in that knockout stage.
Yeah, so I have the same teams. I think Galatasaray is going to be a little better than FC Porto, and get the number one spot out of that group. But I don't disagree. There really is nobody else in this group for me to disagree with you on this. I gotta agree 100% with these two teams here.
Group E. Can't go against Bayern Munich. The German powerhouse is, the German powerhouse. They're going to advance. I don't see any disagreement coming here, even from Ryan. And the second team, Benfica.
So you're right. I'm going with Bayern Munich. They are the best in the German league. So there's no doubt in my mind that they should be able to advance out of this group. But I'm going to change it up on you, and I'm saying Ajax. They're looking really good in their own right, and I think that they can actually pull out the number 2 seed in this group.
Yeah, I mean Ajax is one of the best Dutch teams, or they're one of the top teams. So I think it's really gonna. I think it is a toss up for that second spot. I could see either Benfica or Ajax, advancing. I won't be shocked either way. But I think both of us clearly agree Bayern Munich is gonna run away with this group.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Group F. The Premier League legends, Manchester City, I think is gonna run away with this group, and their second team, I have Shakhtar advancing.
So I picked Man City to win my Premier League, so I can't go against these guys like Matt with Tottenham. I have to say Man City comes out of this one, but Shakhtar, not too bad in the Ukraine League. They are undefeated, but I think Lion is the better team to advance out of this one here.
Group G, I picked two of the most historic teams. Real Madrid, obviously one of the top teams in the world. I know even without Ronaldo, I think this team's just too good to basically too good to fail like PSG. They have a lot of talent, so I have them winning this group. With then I got Roma from Italy with that second spot.
So Real Madrid is looking really good in the Spanish league, like you said. So I'm agreeing with you there. But I'm going with the Czech boys, who are also undefeated, I'm pretty sure, in their own league with Plzeň. It's a stretch.
Yeah. But hey.
I picked crazier, like I said. But this team actually doesn't look to me. Like I said, they're undefeated in their own league, which isn't saying much because there isn't much competition there. But I think they actually have a solid chance. I agree with. I like your Roma pick. I'm not saying that they can't do it. I just think that Plzeň will somehow pull this one off.
And the final group, Group H. Gotta go with the perennial Italian champions, Juventus. Especially now that they have Ronaldo, even though he hasn't been really playing like the Ronaldo that we've seen from prior years. I expect Juventus to win this group relatively easily. Second team I have, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty scared about this pick because they've been pretty god awful in the Premier League, and you just never know about them, especially with we've talked about them before about Jose Mourinho and the way he's been coaching and his issues with their top players. I picked Man U, but honestly, I'm not too confident in that pick.
Yeah, so like you said, Juventus it's a no-brainer. I couldn't go with Man U because of the same factors that you were concerned about picking Man U. I didn't pick them for, my Premier League top 4, so I definitely wasn't going to go with them here. And like I went out on a limb with Pleasant, I'm going out on a limb with the Swiss boys, and they are undefeated in their own right
You
as
mean
well.
the young boys?
And going with the young boys. Yep, that's correct. I'm going with the young boys here.
That's a great team name. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of the.
That's why I like team. I like that name. You know what? Let's just go with it because I'm not a huge fan of Man U. So, that's what it was. But I mean, like I said, they have, it's their time to shine. They have to prove themselves because they are decent in their own league. Whether they can or not in the big boys league, we shall see.
So before we move on to the NFL, I just want to say something about the soccer FIFA awards that they named the best player of the year, and for basically the last decade, it's basically been rotating between Messi and Ronaldo, but this year we finally got a different winner. Luka Modric, the Croatian midfielder who also plays for Real Madrid. He's had basically a great year. Real Madrid obviously won the Champions League. He led Croatia to the World Cup final. He won Best Player in the World Cup. And then he wins Best Player in the World for this year. So Luka Modric is clearly, both Ryan and I already said in previous, when we were talking about the World Cup, how great he played. And so I'm not really surprised here. The only real surprise is, usually you see Messi and Ronaldo here. So finally that streak has come to an end. So congrats to Modric. And, let's see how he does again this year.
Yeah, definitely congrats to him. He had a fantastic year. And, we'll see what he can do this year, like Matt said. All right, we got some games to discuss. So let's just jump right into it with talking about the game where, the team, let's phrase that. Let's talk about the team that hasn't won a game until, I guess Thursday Night Football. That's right, I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns beating the Jets. Now, this came on the heels of Taylor getting a concussion and then bringing in Baker Mayfield, and he turns around and gets in the W. Does this have a lot to do with Baker Mayfield or the fact that the Jets are terrible? I don't know. This may be one of the only games the Browns win this year, or maybe they can turn around and get a winning streak. Congratulations to the Cleveland Browns on putting on a one hell of a game once Baker Mayfield came into the thing. I'm not saying that Mayfield is the next Tom Brady. I still don't think he is all that. I don't think he's, the hype isn't real. This is his first game, so, we're going to see something out of him because no one knows what to expect from this kid. But, hey, listen, they got the win, so I can't disagree with what happened. They did beat the Jets. I'm still not convinced that Mayfield is the next thing for Cleveland.
Who needs LeBron James? Baker Mayfield is the new savior of Cleveland. Just kidding. But he did play really well in the absence of Tyrod. So, hey, it took 635 days for the Cleveland Browns to win a game, which is pretty awful. But, hey, they finally won. Congrats to Cleveland. I mean, first of all, I don't know why Hugh Jackson, the coach of the Browns, took a few days to name the starter. You won the game after 2 years. You gotta keep Mayfield. Was it really does it take rocket science to figure out that you can't bench him after that? Well, I guess if you're Cleveland, I guess it does.
I was gonna say, wait a minute, we're talking about Cleveland now.
But hey, I mean, like Ryan mentioned, the Jets aren't a great team. They won that first game of the season against the Lions, but since then they've looked pretty shaky. Sam Darnold hasn't looked great since that first game. So, like Ryan said, I don't know if this is like a precursor to see how great the Browns are, or if just the Browns beat another garbage team. But in the grand scheme of things, I think the Browns are not that awful. I won't be surprised if they win a few more games this year. But, all in all, I think Mayfield played, as best as you could expect him to play, to be his first game action and with the first team. So I mean for Mayfield and Cleveland, I hope this is like the beginning of a decent restart.
So speaking of teams not winning, we've talked about this team a couple times, and yes, I'm talking about the Buffalo Bills and how terrible they've looked the first two games. And a guy retiring halfway into only halfway into the game last week. Yeah, well, they turned around and destroyed it. I mean, destroyed the Minnesota Vikings and Mr. Cousins. I don't know what I saw. I'm kind of confused by this. The Vikings looked great. They looked really good their first two games. And then you get annihilated by the Buffalo Bills, who look like a college team that Alabama would be stomping on with ease. I can't explain this one. This is just shocking to me that the Vikings got not beaten, but destroyed by a team who didn't look like they were going to win a game all season.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, if pretty mad about this one because if you remember correctly, I picked them in my Degen Corner. I picked the Vikings minus 17 points. So I expected them to just massacre the Bills. But not only does the Vikings not cover, the Bills won outright by double digits. That's the first time ever that a team who was the underdog by double digits ended up winning by double digits. So I'm pretty mad about this one. The Vikings obviously played very, very poorly because most people expected the Vikings to be that Super Bowl caliber team. So I'm not sure what happened here because if I remember correctly, the Vikings were home also. So I don't know. I'm really not sure what happened. I mean, I knew Dalvin Cook was hurt, so I know he didn't play. But still, I mean, the Vikings just
excuses.
I mean, they're just a better team than the Bills. At least I thought they were. But Josh Allen, the rookie quarterback, I mean, he played respectable in this game. I mean, I didn't think he played great by any means, but clearly he did enough. The Bills defense were able to get some turnovers and basically got the team in good field position, which able to basically get that lead, and basically they didn't give it up, and the Vikings offense didn't do anything. So congrats to the Bills to win their first game, but hey, if I were the Vikings, I would kind of be worried about this because, I mean, yeah, you could say it was just a blip, and hopefully just they could get back to normal, but losing to one of the worst teams in the NFL is pretty bad for a team that you expect to go far this season.
Well, if you had a lot to say there, Matt, you're going to have a lot more to say here. So this is the last game we're going to recap, and it happens to be this week was recap of teams who haven't won a game. And yes, I'm talking about the Detroit Lions, who have looked just as atrocious as the Bills have. But what did they do? Oh, no. You wouldn't expect it. No, they turn around and destroy another Super Bowl possible team in the New England Patriots. Yes, this is no joke. They also annihilated a Super Bowl team like the Bills did in the New England Patriots. It is time to panic if you're in New England. It's time to run and hide. You guys are done. Over with. It's over. You're done. Just don't show up and play in the NFL anymore. Thank you, God. I hate New England, so this is beautiful to see. No, I mean, Detroit's look, just as bad as the Bills have, honestly. And this was, another team that was 0-2, and they turned around and won, again, outright. It was another shocking win for a team who has looked like crap all season long so far. Yeah, it's only a couple weeks in, but still look terrible. These guys have turned and beat the team who lost to the Eagles last year. Well, they also lost to a couple of teams this year, and they have not looked good at all.
Yeah, the Patriots have not looked good is an understatement. I believe this is the first time since 2002 that the Patriots lost 2 back-to-back games by over 10 points. So you can clearly tell they're not playing well. But the more showing part, Bill Belichick lost to a previous coordinator of his, Matt Patricia. The Lions' current coach was the defensive coordinator of the Patriots last year. Bill Belichick doesn't lose to his coordinators. It just doesn't happen. And like Ryan mentioned, Lions are not even a good team. They don't really. I mean, yeah, Stafford's decent. They got a few good receivers, but their rookie running back got over 100 yards. The first time the Lions had a running back over 100 yards since Reggie Bush did it a few years ago. So I don't know. Ryan. Like Ryan said, it might be time to panic in New England, but they did have a few guys missing. Edelman has a suspension. Josh Gordon didn't play. Those are excuses, obviously, because you still expect Tom Brady to do something. That offense didn't look good, and for a legend like Tom Brady to get shut down like that by a Detroit defense, it is a pretty bad sign, I would say. But I'm if it was between a scale from 0 to 10 in the be afraid meter, I would probably put it at a 6. I'll put it at 6. If they continue this in the next couple of weeks, then yes, I would full on say what Ryan said, and just it might be time that Belichick Brady era might be over finally. But hey, this happens every few years where people say that the Patriots are done, and then at the end they end up in the Super Bowl and win. So I'm not ready to just call it yet, but a few more weeks and I might be on Ryan's side.
Well, let's call it kill shot. Shout out there for that, because that's what happened. But also, I want to just also ask you about this. Do you think it's because of all the problems that have finally come out to the public with, people not liking people in New England and Belichick and the owner not getting along and Brady, all this back and forth with people not getting along in this offseason that kind of came out in the open, this is another reason as to why they're not jumping on all cylinders?
I mean, sure. I mean, it definitely could be a possibility, but I feel like all those guys that you mentioned, whether it be Robert Kraft or Bill Belichick or Tom Brady or Gronk, all those guys at the end of the day are very, very, very competitive, and I feel like regardless of how they feel personally about each other, I feel like they still want to win the game or every game they play. So I would think that they would put that personal feelings or emotions aside when it comes to game time, and I just think that the team just not clicking, like just talent wise. I just don't think they're ready to play. That's all. And I think once they get Josh Gordon and Edelman, like I mentioned, back, they really have no excuses at that point because that's their full team. Because defensively, I think they have everyone. I don't think they're hurt, but they just don't look good as a team. And it could be the case that Ryan mentioned. It could be that they have those personal issues, but I would just hope as professionals and competitors that they are, that's not the case. All right, so games to watch, week 4. Thursday night. We have a good one, Ryan. Usually Thursday nights are not good, but this one is a potential NFC Championship matchup. We got the Vikings coming off of that horrible loss versus the red-hot LA Rams. I mean, obviously we know the Vikings didn't play well last week, but at the end of the day, they're still one of the best teams. They are mostly known for their defense, but they obviously have weapons on offense with their 2 good receivers. And I'm not sure if Cook's going to play as running back yet. We haven't heard anything, but if he does play, that gives him another weapon. And then you got the Rams, who, like we mentioned before, they are loaded offensively, defensively. They got superstars galore. And is this game in LA?
Yes, it is.
So they got that advantage too. So I think I'm gonna pick the Rams to win this one. I think they're just a little too much right now. They're clicking in all cylinders, and because of the Vikings, the way they played last week doesn't give me too much confidence right now. And because of the fact that Rams are that good of a team, I think it's going to give them that second straight loss.
So the Vikings looking terrible. Yeah, you're hoping they come back and at least prove themselves. But like last week when I said that the Chargers are no match for the Rams, I don't think the Vikings are either, especially with the way they've been playing. And the Rams, like Matt mentioned, are clicking on all cylinders here. So I can't go against the Rams here. They were a great team last year, and they're still a great team. So I can't disagree. I think the Rams are gonna give the Vikings their second loss in back-to-back weeks. It's gonna be interesting to see. But at least, like you said, it's going to be actually a good game on Thursday. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think we're going to actually get a good game on a Thursday night finally.
We could only hope. The next one we have Monday Night Football. We have maybe the best quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, no one has ever had as many touchdowns in the first 3 games ever in a season. Remember that. Facts.
Okay.
Versus the Denver Broncos, who lost to the Ravens last week. Case Keenum has not looked good this year. But the Broncos defense, it was supposed to be one of the best, led by Von Miller. But I don't know how this defense is going to stop KC's offense, Ryan. Kansas City has way too many weapons. I already mentioned how good Mahomes is. He has Tyreek, Sammy Watkins, Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce. I don't know if the Broncos have enough to stop that. So I'm gonna pick Kansas City to win this one in Denver.
So yeah, we're at Mile High. The only thing that's gonna stop KC may be the air, because the way these guys have been running all over defenses. You point out every single person here. They burn these guys, and with Mahomes' arm, it makes it look like it's nothing. These guys run fast, and the defense can't keep up with them because of the arm of Mahomes. He can lead them very well, and I was joking, Matt, but Mahomes is looking really good. But again, he has guys who can run like crazy and can outrun almost anybody on that field just to get to a ball, and that's why I think he's looking really good. Denver's offense doesn't look good, like you said there, Matt. So as much as the defense and Denver has done a lot, you lost to Baltimore. I got no respect for you. Like I got no respect for the Vikings losing to the Bills. Me and Matt have met and talked about it, in our podcast and previous ones, that Baltimore isn't that good of a team, but yet they keep proving us wrong by getting wins here and there against some teams who they shouldn't be beating, and I think Denver's one of them. So if Baltimore can do it, there's no reason Kansas City cannot do this either.
Yeah, my only kind of worry about this one is that Kansas City's defense lets up a lot of points. Fortunately for them, their offense, basically scores touchdowns every drive. But their defense has not been great. So I won't be surprised if Denver is able to put up points. But at the end of the day, I think KC just is going to probably score 35 plus again. Moving on to the NCAA, we have a Big Ten power matchup against the Ohio State versus Ryan's alma mater, Penn State. He's number 4.
That's right.
Versus number 9. Ryan, I'll let you lead up this one.
I don't like Ohio State by any means, and I have not been shy about saying that. I do love my team in Penn State. The first week they look shaky, but they've been playing phenomenal the last couple weeks now, and I think it's in Penn State's home. Can't go wrong when you're dealing with the Valley and Penn State. Ohio State hasn't looked bad at all either, and if I remember correctly, this is his second game back as coach. Yep. Right. So it's time for him to lose, and where a better place to do that than no better place to lose than Happy Valley, and take that number 4 that you have in front of your school's name and drop you off and then continue to lose on the way down. Ohio State is what I'm going to say here. No, I mean Penn State's clicking on. I think they're clicking on all cylinders. They've looked really, really good, and they were one of the teams I picked against on scoring points, and they ended up shutting me up. So I think that Penn State's gonna come out and take this win in Happy Valley, and give Ohio State their first loss, and Penn State continue on as being undefeated at the end of the day.
So I've been rooting against Ohio State this whole season, solely because of all that controversy they had with Urban Meyer. But we can't deny how great they've been playing. Their quarterback has been putting up great statistics. Their team, they have a great team. We can't deny that Ohio State always is, one of the perennial, top teams we have. But this game, because it is in Penn State, and I think this is going to be the game that Trace McSorley kind of puts himself on the map here. So I'm going to agree with Ryan here, and I'm going to call the upset. Penn State beating Ohio State, and
that's what I like to hear.
I mean, this is what I'm hoping for. But I mean, I think it's going to be a good one. I think this is going to be one of the best games because of the fact that they're clearly rivals. Last year, I remember this game being played at Ohio State where Penn State blew that lead with Saquon.
Yeah, I don't talk about that one.
I mean, I remember Saquon took that first kickoff return for a touchdown, and I thought it was a wrap. And I think Penn State, remembers that, and I think they want to get revenge, and I think that's why this one is going to go under Penn State's win. Our last game to watch, another good one. Number 7 Stanford versus number 8 Notre Dame. 2 undefeated teams. I clearly picked Stanford to go far in preseason, so I'm going to continue to pick them. Bryce Love, my Heisman pick, hasn't looked great by any means, so I'm going to hope that he looks decent enough or does well enough against Notre Dame. I know they have a great defense, so it's going to be tough, and I think this is going to be a relatively defensive struggle, and I won't be surprised if neither team goes over 20 points. I think it's going to be that tough of a game, but I have Stanford winning.
So it's in Notre Dame. It's in the Fighting Irish home. I was looking at a stat on ESPN that said that actually Notre Dame has had a harder schedule than Stanford. I personally disagree with that. I think Stanford's actually had a little bit tougher schedule and actually played a little bit better than Notre Dame. Not because of Matt's standout pick for Heisman Trophy of the Year, but I just think Stanford's played a better all-around game this season so far, which is the only reason I'm saying that they're going to give Notre Dame their first loss. I think that they just look a lot better as a team. And yeah, listen, Notre Dame is not a joke. They are a really good team. I don't disagree it's going to be a close one as well in this one. But I feel that Stanford has had a little bit better of matchups over their first 4 weeks as opposed to Notre Dame. And I'm going to disagree with ESPN on that factor. And I just think that Stanford's going to go into the Fighting Irish home and pull out this W as they need to keep moving up those rankings. This is the Degen Corner. All right, so let's get into our Degen picks this week. So I happen to pick both of the college games that we talked about out of the games to watch, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, they actually are on at the same time. So you get to flip back and forth between both games to see the scores, but they're 2 great games that'll be on. Pretty sure it's 7:30. So for my first pick, I'm going with Stanford at a plus 4.5 against Notre Dame. I'm going with Penn State with a plus 3.5 versus Ohio State. The Atlanta Falcons with a minus 5.5 against the Bengals.
Interesting picks there, Ryan. But
I like to make it interesting. Pretty sure, which I also forgot to recap, I'm 4-2, and what are you, 3-3, if I remember correctly?
That is correct. I am 1 game behind you because you went 2-1 and I went 1-2 last week.
That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to go out there and make some interesting picks.
So this week I have Virginia Tech plus 5 against Duke. Somehow Duke is now rated in football. BYU.
Who would have seen that
What did
day?
you say?
I said, who would have thought we'd see that
That
day?
is true. I believe both Duke and Kentucky are ranked in football for the first time ever.
That is insane.
Then we.
I'm pretty sure Duke's undefeated this year too, aren't they?
Yeah, so far.
Wow.
Next, I have BYU plus 17.5 against Washington. Both teams are ranked, so I'm not really sure why it's such a huge spread. So that's why I think BYU is going to cover this one. And I'm going to go with the team that we talked about earlier. I'm going to go Patriots -7 versus Dolphins. I think this is basically a must-win for the Patriots. It's a AFC East matchup. And basically, if they lose this one, they're going to be down 3 games in that division. And it's going to be pretty tough to, come back from. So I think the Patriots are going to come back and win relatively by at least 10 points. Hence why I think I'm going to take this -7. So
Let's go Miami and Tannehill.
So, just to reiterate, I got Virginia Tech, BYU, and the Patriots.
And I have Stanford, Penn State, and the Falcons. All right, so on the hot topics, and there were a lot that I thought about choosing from, but let's go with, keeping the football theme, let's go with Eric Dickerson with his statement that all Hall of Famers should get $300,000 a year for life, as well as health care. I'm sorry, what? Just because you're a Hall of Famer, you deserve all this? Listen, this guy is reaching. I don't even know where you came up with this random number. Just that's what you think they deserve for life, just because, they're a Hall of Famer. Listen, you played great. No disrespect to you there. But I don't get it. I mean, this is clearly somebody who thinks is in need of some money for some Hall of Famers, because they want to spend it all in retirement or whatever, and not use the money properly. I don't know. The healthcare part. I'm not saying that you need some medical here and there, to at least, not saying for lifetime, but a better healthcare for these guys just because of how brutal they go through. But $300,000. I don't know. I just think that's a stretch, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah. I definitely agree with you, Ryan. Eric Dickerson is definitely a legend, Hall of Famer, one of the best running backs ever. But it seems like an arbitrary number that he whipped out, $300,000 that they want every year. Healthcare, like Ryan said, makes sense. I don't have any issue with that. They clearly, they probably have a lot of things to take care of because of the fact they played football for, a decade or longer. So that part I understand, but $300,000 seems, I don't know if he did any research on that, or if he personally just wants $300,000 a year. I just don't see that being a realistic number that the NFL would ever agree to, because they clearly have, I'm not sure how many Hall of Famers there are presently, but I'm sure it's a good enough number where it's going to be quite the expense for the NFL, and they would never agree to that. Healthcare, of course, they probably are just, they have to do it because of the fact that, it's taking care of their previous players. But where does the cutoff for this, Ryan? This Hall of Famers getting $300,000? Is it ever, going into the future also? So you're saying that Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, whenever they Peyton Manning already did retire, or Eli, or these guys who have already made millions of dollars, they're going to get $300,000 too? That doesn't seem like it's going to make any sense. They don't need it. They've made hundreds of millions of dollars in their career, and you want to say they need $300,000 too? Doesn't seem realistic. So I don't think this is going to be something that's going to work out at the end. So my hot topic for this week is Tiger Woods. He's back. He finally won a PGA Tour event. He won the final PGA Tour event of this year. It's his first win since 2013. It's been 5 years since he's won. And I must say, people were tuned in. There was basically one of the biggest crowds I've ever seen following him when he was walking down the fairways. So clearly people care when Tiger plays, And not only do they care when he plays, they love it when he plays well. And he dominated in this tournament. And it's good to see Tiger back because obviously we know he's when he plays well, he's definitely one of the best ever. And he's come off a lot of injuries and a lot of other personal issues, but at the end of the day, for the popularity of the game, there's no one better than Tiger Woods. And I hope he's able to continue the success next season and hopefully win one of the Grand Slams, because that's important at the end of the day that he's able to do that, because he wants to, obviously for his own reputation, he wants to win one, either the Masters, the U.S. Open, or the British Open, because he needs to win one of those at the end of the day. So I hope he's able to continue the success. But it was good to see him finally win one after so long.
Yeah, who thought we'd be saying Tiger Woods' name again? It's great to see. It definitely helps the game. I definitely think it's great for the game. Like you said, he's the face. He's everything for golf and everything that they need. So it's nice to see that he ended the season off in a good way, and hopefully he does to start off the season next year and get one of them majors in there as a title. It'd be nice to see for him. Like I said, with all the issues he had health-wise and home-wise, it's definitely he definitely is finally getting into the swing of things per se. And I think I've always rooted for him, so I think he definitely has the opportunity and chance to get a good major in there, because he's came off of this win. Yeah, it wasn't a great win, but it's still on the PGA Tour. He's been looking better and better. He's been able to hold his own a little bit more. It seems like he's starting to get that swing back, that to form where it's more consistent. So it's definitely he definitely looks like he's somewhat back to form, and it is, like Matt said, it is great for golf to have him back. So he definitely needs to win one of them majors to help bring golf back to where it was when he was in his prime.
Well, that's all we have for this week's episode of the Benchwarmers. Once again, you can follow us on Twitter at Benchwarmers06, and you can subscribe to our podcast on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. See you guys next week.
The Benchwarmers.